So they call for this strike, and at first, it's just these members and the police kind of going at each other. They use physical force against the police, run them out of the market area. The police bulk up their numbers along with some of these hired guns from the Citizens Alliance, and they go back and they open fire on the union members, two of which were killed. There was actually a estimated 100,000 people who turned out for the funeral of these men. At this point, things escalate even more. You have the mayor of Minneapolis calling to the governor for help with the National Guard. The governor, who was his party politics was called Labor Farmer Party. His name is Governor Olson. So being that he was part of the Farmer Labor Party, he had actually been elected in part because of his support to these union members. So he was hesitant to use the National Guard. But things escalated again. More police officers were killed. And so he did call in the National Guard to try to squash the strike. The Union headquarters were surrounded and raided by the National Guard troops. They arrested the leaders. An interesting component is that the leaders of this union were socialists. They were followers of Trotsky, who was a political power in Russia, and at this exact time actually had been exiled from Russia because of Stalin taking over. This goes into another component of how those in power use the fears that the public has to get their point across. So what they start stressing to other parts of the country is what's called red baiting, which is commonly used, and it just means that they're associating these union people as being communists. They were two, like I said, the leaders did have a communist background, but the majority of the union workers did not have a political following as such. 4,000 National Guardsmen were brought in to make sure that the trucks could start moving again. You're about 2 months into the strike now, and as I had said, this was a major shipping hub, so all these products are not getting delivered throughout the country, and this is a major concern. At this point, FDR gets involved because it is affecting the economics of this country. He sends 2 mediators to Minneapolis to discuss conditions and terms with both sides. They were successful with the union members, but they were not with the Citizens Alliance group. They refused the agreement that the mediators had come up with. So another major strike takes place, and at the end of the summer, Governor Olson actually flies to meet FDR and have a private meeting with him, and he appeals to Roosevelt to use the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, which had been established during the New Deal, to put pressure on these business owners. So Roosevelt agrees to this and has the mediators threaten to recall any loans that they had made to these business owners during the New Deal package. This was the first time that the federal government had actually taken the side of the working class as opposed to the business owners or elites. So that's an interesting point in American history, and that's probably why they consider it labor's turning point. Shortly after, a bill is passed called the Wagner Act, which legalizes the forming of unions. It's considered the Bill of Rights for labor in this country, protects them. So you have violence throughout these conflicts, these labor strikes in this country. And it took federal power to end it one way or the other. It was usually, like I had said, through federal troops using force to end it. In this case, it was through mediation. So, keeping that in mind, one point I'd like to discuss now, we can have an open discussion about it, is in what way is federalism a key component in the labor history of this country? Does anybody have any ideas about that? What role has it played?
Well, like you said, if the National Guard didn't work, they had to call in federal troops. If that didn't work, they had to have some sort of federal mediation.
So you have at the lowest level, they're always asking for help from the next level up. That's true. Strength in numbers, real quick on that, the bottom part of those numbers are flip-flopped. Local 574 knew that strength in numbers, solidarity were important to their success. They got assistance from the local farmers who would supply food for them. They had their own newspaper that they developed called The Organizer, which helped counter the smear tactics that the Citizens Alliance was using in calling them communists.